Here are some of the assumptions that are put forward as modern marketing, although it's striking that if you pick up a 1960s textbook, you'll see exactly the same things, but they're still put forward as modern marketing. Assumptions like that customers can care deeply about brands, although it's marketing's job to try to make them care deeply about our brand, that we're supposed to encourage our customers to be passionately involved, when the reality is they have extremely busy lives and don't care about the brands very much at all. The idea that that's our job rather than just trying to make them actually buy the brand. Assumptions like that targeting always pays off better than aiming to sell to all the members in the category. The assumption that different brands in a category sell to different sorts of people, that they must have different sorts of appeal. I mean, all the empirical evidence is completely against this. The competing brands sell to very, very similar people, indeed often exactly the same people. And these lead into plans that end up targeting heavy users or existing buyers of the brand at the expense of winning new customers. I think classic is the 80-20 rule, is an assumption that's taught in most MBAs as gospel. I find it intriguing that it's taught this way without ever showing anyone any data. If you go and look at the data, it isn't 80-20. I mean, it's quite surprising. There is a law-like generalization, a sort of scientific law, but it's not 80-20. The top 20% of your customers produce a bit more than half of your sales in any one year. And next year, that top 20% is actually worth less than it was previously. So you can see how this, if you have a mistaken view of the world, it can very easily lead you down the wrong path. If you're told that the top 20% of your customers deliver 80% of your sales, I mean, it would seem obvious we should target those. In fact, if you think about it in the opposite direction, that your bottom 80% of customers only produce 20% of sales, that would just seem naturally to lead to a marketing plan that really would ignore those people. But if I tell you instead that no, out in the real world, that bottom 80% of customers produce about half your sales, and that next year, if you categorize them based on this year's sales, if you look at them next year they'll actually buy more. They suddenly look like a terribly attractive group of consumers. So we're seeing scientific investigation of the real world completely overturning the assumptions that were in textbooks, which is not a surprise. I mean, those textbooks were written without any research. They were written by people who often weren't even practicing marketers, but they relied on the folklore and common sense sort of wisdom of the day, a bit like the way medieval textbooks were written for doctors. They relied on what was seen as perfect common sense and even important scholarly knowledge, but was completely wrong.